All hail the Tartarus Titans, champions of the 2022 Spring Smite Masters. After a glorious 3-1 victory against rival team the Camelot Kings, Solo or Troll, Paul, Layers, Aurora and Cyclone Spin claimed the mid-year title, along with the lion's share of a $105,000 prize pool. Clocking up 4 eliminations and 7 assists in Game 1, the solo laner himself, Solo or Troll, taught the Kings a thing or two about the broken god of the afterlife himself, Osirus. Slowing enemies became so much simpler with Osirus's Sickle Strike. After throwing his weapon forward, the first enemy he hit took damage and had their movement speed reduced by 20% for 5 seconds. When it came to increasing his own speed, Solo or Troll popped Osirus's Spirit Flail. After striking the ground in front of him, Camelot Kings players under the effect of Sickle Strike had their slow further increased, while Osirus himself gained additional movement speed. Hindering the enemy during an all-in teamfight was made possible with Osirus's Judgment Tether. By attaching his mummy wraps to nearby Camelot Kings gods, Solo or Troll was able to reduce their damage output while inflicting a small stun should they remain close to him. Leaping into the heat of combat, Osirus's ultimate, Lord of the Afterlife, proved to be the stuff of nightmares. All enemy gods and Solo or Troll's landing zone took a generous amount of damage, but more importantly, they were prevented from healing for a massive 6 seconds while rooted to the battlefield. Hunter star Cyclone Spin tore through the Kings in the second game, claiming 7 eliminations and 2 assists on the popular Jing Wei, the Oathkeeper. Mastering the arts of wind and speed, Cyclone Spin knocked up enemies with persistent gust. This dealt minor damage to the affected enemies, but more importantly, it gave him an additional attack speed buff for the next 7 seconds. Reloading Jing Wei's crossbow with explosive bolts, Cyclone Spin's next 3 attacks were wider, dealt area-based damage, and had its critical chance increased, enough to take down even the strongest gods on the battlefield. A quick dash of Jing Wei's agility got Cyclone Spin in and out of combat with ease, granting his god increased movement speed as well as a buff to her physical power. To spread more chaos around Mount Olympus, Jing Wei's ultimate ability, Airstrike, littered a target area with explosions. The ability kept Cyclone Spin safe as he hovered above a team fight. Fast, ferocious and feared by all, jungle player Layers helped close out the Smite Masters on Fenrir the Unbound, wrapping things up with 5 eliminations and 5 assists in the final game of the tournament. Gaining runes from Fenrir's basic attacks was extremely important for Layers. When maxed, each of his abilities were unleashed at their full potential. Closing the gap between himself and an enemy god, Unchained allowed Layers to leap into action to deal damage and stun all targets in front of him. Digging his claws into the members of the Camelot Kings, Fenrir's Brutalize ripped apart his targets with 4 brutal savage strikes, all while Layers himself gained increased protections. A must for pre-combat in the treacherous laneways, Seething Howl generated 2 additional runes, granted Layers extra physical power and gave him a lifesteal buff, ready to run a rampage in the enemy front line. All enemy gods had no choice but to run in fear of Fenrir's Ragnarok ultimate ability. Growing to a humongous size, Layers became immune to crowd control effects and gained additional movement speed. Getting up close and personal to bite and carry away enemy gods was the name of the game, often pulling Camelot Kings players well out of position. These 3 gods of the game helps the Tartarus Titans achieve victory and can help you dominate in style on the many battlefields of Smite.
Thanks for watching. Hit the subscribe button to keep up to date with the amazing esport content from around the gaming globe. Only on Unbeaten Esports.